Hi, welcome to the Medicare Show. I'm your host, the Medicare advisor, Jeffrey Kuhn. Some of you do know that I am a certified financial planner, and I do give very, very objective advice to my Medicare clients when questions are asked when I'm in a position to answer them. Typically, a lot of these are done on a non-fee for service basis because I typically don't charge fees. It is April, and we're kind of getting close to the April 15th deadline. By the time you're going to see this, we're probably at it, maybe just after it. And as I meet with clients every week, I've got new client interviews every week. I get asked a whole host of questions, and it lets me know really what's on people's minds. And some of this I can share with other folks out there because I know these are things that you're thinking about, one of which is Roth IRAs. I'm getting asked a lot of questions, especially from people that are near retirement, approaching retirement, which I'm going to actually address some things on these upcoming podcasts. Questions I get asked all the time, especially around people that are still working and they've got group benefits. Do they need to get Medicare? What are the things you need to look at before you make those choices? So I'll share a couple stories with it, but in particular, Roth IRAs. It is probably one of the best and most tax efficient vehicles out there if you're eligible to contribute to them. And, people ask, I'm going to retire, my income's going to change, should I contribute? And I ask the same questions. I'm really surprised by the lack of response or information that's not yet been put on the table to make that decision. I'm like, you got to find this stuff out. I'm going to share a couple things with you, just so you're aware. 2025, and for people that may extend the returns, typically your normal contribution limits are around $7,000. And in 2026, that's gone up a little bit. But in 25, if you're 50 or older, you contribute up to $8,000. They did bump that up about $500 for 2026. So it's about $7,500. And you can go up to $8,600 if you're over 50, which is probably going to be most of the viewers I have here. So the question I get asked, should I convert to a Roth IRA? I'm retiring, right? I'm retiring partway through the year. I'm thinking about collecting Social Security, and there's some things that are financially up in the air. You've got to make, some decisions around. And I usually ask a couple questions. And these questions are things that we want to gather the information first to find out, do you have the inputs that we need to make this decision? Who do you want to get involved in making this decision? First and foremost, I ask, where's your income? Where do you expect it to be at the end of this year if you're only going to be working partially? Where do you think you are going to be from a marginal tax bracket with your deductions? And, Social Security benefits. Do you know if those Social Security benefits are going to be impacted or going to become taxable based on your income? That's just kind of a side thing to think about. And, the people I usually sit down with, most of them are working with an accountant, CPA, a tax person. And I usually advise this is where the conversation needs to start because they have software that they're inputting information in. And you want to maximize whatever marginal bracket you're in without going up and over it, assuming you might be on a cusp of having the opportunity to pay less tax on money that's going to go in there or money that you're going to convert. Second question, this is the most important one. What do you actually have in IRAs? People that are about to retire sometimes convert. Their financial advisors want to convert their retirement accounts because they want to manage them. They want to convert them over to IRAs. And when you start looking at converting, some clients that are in higher tax brackets can't take a deduction for normal IRAs. They do non-deductible IRAs. They don't claim a tax deduction on their IRAs. And the misconception is you've got this IRA you haven't paid tax on the basis. Any growth in there comes out taxable. But the money that goes in, you didn't get a tax deduction going in. So they're thinking, well, I can convert that money over to a Roth and I don't pay tax on it. And that's not necessarily true. The IRS, as far as taxes are concerned, when you do a conversion, they don't care what accounts you're converting. What they do care about is this. How much money do you actually have in IRAs in totality? Let's just use round numbers. Let's say you have $100,000. And let's just say 50,000 of that you've contributed to a non-deductible IRA. You're thinking, well, I can take 50,000, I can convert that over to a Roth IRA, not pay tax on it. Well, that's not what's going to happen. The surprise is this. The IRA looks at the total amount that you've got in IRAs, which is 100,000. That 50,000 that you have, that's non-deductible, that you think you can convert, if you take that account and you throw that all over and you decide to do a conversion on that to a Roth, what's going to happen is this. They look at the 100,000 you have in total. You've converted 50,000 of it. You've converted 50% of your IRAs. 50% of that conversion then becomes taxable. So you're going to find that you're going to get a taxable on 25,000 potentially of that 50, even though that money was not a deductible IRA. So you just got to be aware of these things. Should you contribute? Absolutely. I think everybody, if you're able to contribute, it's one of the most tax efficient, very estate efficient vehicles out there. The money grows tax free, and most cases it comes out tax free. And I've got my wife's daughter contributing now. She's only 17 years old. She does have some employment income. Getting her started in a Roth IRA, for her, this is going to be one of the best things that she's going to have down the road. So when we're looking at 26, you want to definitely talk to your tax person. It's really important to understand where you stand, taking advantage of whatever marginal bracket you're in. If you're in a lower bracket, do the conversions now. Don't wait for your required minimum distributions and being forced to, like a lot of people saying, I have to take money out. I'm required to do it. Take control of it now at a lower tax rate. It's probably one of the best things you can do. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight, the questions, the conversations that you need to start having. Talk to your financial advisor and talk to your accountant first. Find out where you stand, where they recommend, what is the room that you have? How much can you convert? Should you contribute? These are questions that you want to definitely do around tax time. So hopefully it gives you some things to think about, again, with the Roth IRAs and conversations to have with both your accountants and your financial advisors. So hopefully you found this information a little useful, somewhat timely, because now we're looking at the new tax year for contributions. So please subscribe to the show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And hopefully you're going to find some of the upcoming episodes really, really useful. Thanks again. Bye-bye.